Remember when you were young and everything in life seemed so much more fun and the possibilities seemed endless? Is that still the same for you, or has life become a serious business? Wherever you are, you can change it. What if more magic, fun, and possibilities were available to you right here, right now? Join Laura and Alun in the playground of possibility as they play, laugh, and explore new ways you can use to make your life more fun and to create more of what you desire.
Hello and welcome to Playground of Possibilities radio show with myself, Alan Jones, and my gorgeous and amazing co-host, Laura Borland.
Hello, how are you?
Multitasking and not doing too badly at it, so yeah, I'm pretty awesome and always lovely to speak with you, always lovely to play with you. So yeah. So
today's show, what are we talking about today?
We are talking today about questionable reality. There's gonging us in. And what did we say about that? So we said, what feels real to you? Is it your money, your body, your relationship, your business, or something else? So where does your world feel so solid that to change it feels like hard work? And you know, because you've really tried hard. I tried really hard to change this and it just won't change. So now, if you've ever never thought about this before, you may well say that all of it's real. But would you be willing to look at a different possibility or a group of different possibilities? And so what if things are not always quite as they appear, that you've decided they are? And what if what keeps it solid is you believing that it is solid and unchangeable? And what reality could you begin to create if you begin to wonder and question what is real? So it comes back to the theme that we have quite often is curiosity, and that's just such my words du jour at the moment. Is how curious can I be? My words du jour. I don't know what word my words in French is, but yeah. So Laura, what's your reality? What's your reality? How do you decide that?
Well, it's funny that you're saying that, because I think that actually for me it changes all the time. There was a point for me where, a bunch of years ago, I would have thought that actually the world was real and solid, and the idea that I change things or create things or shift things would have just been kind of like, what? But even kind of like the more kind of like I begin to play in question, the more that I think, oh, well, what if that's not real? And what if that's not real either? And then it started just kind of like, get me asking like lots of questions. So I don't know about for you, but it's just like there's, for a long time, like I was like, well, yeah, but like my money's real or like my body's real, and then I was like, wow, so what if that's not real either? So yeah. What about you?
Yeah, for me, reality is one thing. Everyone has the same reality, and if you are having anything different, people would say to me as a child, and especially my mother would be, wake up, this is reality. No judgment there about the way my mother speaks, of course.
Well, I was like, in that way.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And so, I can't say that, can I? I was about to say pot and pock that. Scrap that, didn't say it out loud. Slap my thighs. So for me, reality was very much something that was real, and if you didn't kind of buy into reality, then then you weren't being realistic. You're not being realistic. You're living in cloud cuckoo land. You just wake up and smell the coffee, and it was like, well, whose reality is that? And so I'd have my mother's reality, and then of course my grandmother's reality would be something different. We spent a long time with her as children, and then my aunt's reality was something slightly different from that. And my dad, and it's like, and everywhere I went, all these people had this different view of what reality was, and I got so bloody confused.
But it's confusing, and I think that's the thing where it's like there's almost like some hilarity in that, because it's like everybody, it's like some people, just talk about real, but we never like start to think about, well, actually, what if it's just about what we create is real? And so people talk about the real world like it's one thing.
Exactly. And everyone has a different point of view about what that is. And I remember just being so confused and thinking, I must be wrong. I must be really fucked up because I just don't get it. I just don't it's like I try my hardest to try and do this reality thing, and then every time I think I've got it right, someone else tells me I've got it wrong. And it was like, sorry, it must be me. I must be stupid. My reality was that I'm stupid and I'm wrong.
But it's funny because Bree's saying in the chat room, my dad used to say "wakey wakey" to me all the time in an annoying voice.
Yeah.
As a kid, it really pissed me off.
Yeah.
It's almost like when we don't get other people's realities, then they make us wrong for it.
That's that thing, Bree, there is about, wakey wakey, and that's what I'm saying. Wakey wakey, this is reality. Wake up, smell the coffee. It's like that kind of, just get out of dreamland. Stop pretending that something else is different. You live in a fucking fantasy world. It was kind of, sorry, I'm reliving. You can see this reality that I'm still living in my head that I'm also making wrong. So how often do we try to make other people's realities wrong? Do I need a hug? Do you know what, Christine? I would love a hug right now. So, it's because I'm questioning everything that I've bought as my reality. So Laura and we were having a quick chat just for the show, and there's just so much about this that's making me so uncomfortable about everything I've believed what reality is. Because it is just... Well, so I'm reading... So I'm multitasking because I'm reading all the energetic hugs I'm getting in the chat room, which is lovely. I know, and that's just so gorgeous. Thank you all so much for the energetic hugs.
Enjoy your breakfast dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely. So who does all this shit belong to? Yeah, hand it all back. So I've been reading Gary Douglas's book, who's the founder of Access Consciousness, which is what the Pod and Poc thing was earlier on that I said. But he wrote this book called The Gentleman's Club, and I know I resisted reading this book. I just thought, I don't really buy into a lot of his points of view about this, and it's just going to be about being a, in quotes, straight man. And I know that was none of that resistance was really mine, because I knew that if I read the book, it would change my reality. And it is. And something that's massively, massively come up for me is, where are we trying to change life instead of create a different reality? And, that just kind of, because the greatest example, one of the best examples he gives in this book about what we do is like, you have a doll as a child and you dress it in different clothes. It's still the same doll, but you dress it in different clothes thinking that you're changing it. And it got me to thinking about my life and my reality of resistance is futile, let's all be Borg. But it's like, where in my life, have I, it's like my body. So let's give you an example of my body. So I look at my body and think, what's my reality with my body? I can dress my body up in any clothes that I want, but if my reality with my body is wrong, then whatever I dress my body in, it will always be wrong. If I have the reality that my body, no matter what fucking shape I choose it to be, my body is wrong, I could exercise, I could lose weight, I could be clinically obese, I could do anything with my body, I could become a woman, or have a gender reassignment. But if I still think the body is wrong, if my reality is that my body is wrong no matter what I try to do to my body, no matter how much I try to change it, my reality will still be the same. Because I'm not choosing a different reality. And
there was a really kind of like, I was channel hopping more recently, and it's like, and I saw this, it was like how to look 10 years younger or something, and there was this woman who was dressed in these clothes, and it's like, and she was like really slim, and she had all these oversized clothes on, and the woman saying to her, so why are you wearing these oversized clothes? And she's like, yeah, I'm really fat. And it's like, you're looking at her and thinking, and so it turned out that she'd actually lost a whole pile of weight. But it's like she still saw herself as fat, and it's like, and when I watched it in that moment, I was like, wow, so that's what it's like to kind of like, actually her point of view is totally different from actually what I see, but actually it's totally creating her reality. Yeah.
And the way to change that is to change her reality, is to choose and create a different reality, rather because so often what we do when it comes to, our reality is we look at what is and go, I need to change that. And it's not about changing it, it's about creating something different. and they are different. There is a different energy to them, and it's I can't. I'm still working. I'm still getting the stuff myself because I'm only like a quarter of the way through the book, and it is just blowing my mind, which is a great thing about. Sorry, go.
No, I'm just thinking it's almost like that thing where it's like so often we look to change and we look to change on the outside thinking it will change on the inside.
Yeah, exactly. If I change my body, if I change the clothes I wear, then I will feel, my reality with my body will be that, I love my body and, and I'm at peace with my body and all that stuff. But it's like we're putting the cart before the bloody horse.
Exactly, because the whole thing is, it's like if we still haven't changed anything on the inside, even when the outside changes, A, you can't acknowledge it, and it's like, and B, it will have to go back to what it was, because it's like actually you'll end up having to create from that point of view to prove yourself right.
Yeah, and prove yourself wrong. And so Rod is in the chat room has put the question here, so is reality an interesting point of view? Abso-fucking-lutely, as well as whose interesting point of view are we buying as our own? When I look at, would an infinite being really judge their body? So where the hell did I get all of this judgment about what my body is? And I think, how much have I been pretending and distracting myself with judgments about my body which were never mine, but I was so aware of how my mother and her sisters seriously judged their bodies. I was brought up with people who judged their bodies as being bad and wrong.
Yeah, it's what we learn. We almost pick it up by like osmosis, because it's like
totally.
When you're a kid, it's like it takes you a while to realise that everybody's house doesn't work the same way as your mum and dad's house works. Because you just think that that's how it is for everybody, and then of course you start to realise it's not. But actually that's true with absolutely everything, but it's just like, I guess it's like some of us claim that and some of us don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So, some of the interesting point of view, I have this point of view, is one of the tools from Access, which, I've been doing since last May, which has been really helpful. But when you get the other information, the other pieces that kind of go with it, it makes it even easier to go, oh, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. And who does that belong to anyway? Because it is, as you say, we grow up as children. As children, we are, because we are infinitely aware, we are totally aware of everything around us, but we're not taught to distinguish between what is actually ours and what we're just aware of. And so when you start to kind of pick up on other people's thoughts, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm skinny, I'm whatever, my boobs are too big, my boobs are too small, whatever it is, if obviously, I don't have, well, do I have boobs? Not even, moobs, I have man boobs, and I particularly love them. So, it's like, and when we don't go visual, people. Hairy boobs, not a good look. Or it might not be. Interesting point of view.
But it's interesting you're saying that, because when we talk about real, because our bodies are so kind of like, we can touch them, and it's like, and they're physical, they do feel really real, and because we can see them. And it's just like, so, when people have that thing, which is like, I'm fat, I'm ugly, or whatever it is that people have, it's like, it feels like it's real. It feels like it's real. We totally buy into this thing about, but I feel like it's real, so therefore it's real. And it's about being able to kind of, like, for me, being able to choose beyond that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about people who have, to use the phrase, who are diagnosed as having body dysmorphia. Whose reality are they living with their body that makes them keep perceiving their body as being a different shape to what it is? Look at people who have bulimia and anorexia and all of the different types of anorexia that you can get, because a lot of the time they're just so unhappy with their body shape, and the people who think that they've got a limb that they shouldn't have, and how many lifetimes did they lose that limb, and therefore they think that in this life they still shouldn't have that leg, if that makes sense. It's like,
absolutely,
whose reality are we living? Ours from another lifetime, or somebody else's, or something that we've created as reality?
It's mad, isn't it? It's like, actually, when people do talk about how, when people talk about their bodies, and how it's like when they've lost a limb, they still feel like they still have the limb.
Yes, yeah, I've heard that said, where people, when they lose a leg, they still feel itchy toes.
It's mad when you're thinking, but you don't have any toes anymore, so... Yeah, it's very curious. The whole notion of, like, the whole thing about real is just fascinating. Yeah,
absolutely. What is real and what isn't real. So maybe we pick that up after the break and just talk about, what is real and what isn't. So, so we're back after these breaks, and see you soon.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to the Playground of Possibilities, where I am here with my lovely playmate, Alun Jones.
Hello.
And
Hello.
Hello. Oh no, you sounded like Mrs. Doubtfire again. And where today we are talking about a questionable reality. At what point for you, Alun, did you become or begin to get awareness that actually kind of like all these things around kind of like that you were being fed by other people, families and friends and peers and teachers and whoever it was, that you began to think, what if it's not like this?
Actually, it was when I started doing, I started playing with it when I started doing NLP and hypnotherapy. Because one of the premises, whatever you want to call it, around NLP, I think, was, the map is not the territory. And, the whole concept around that is, just because someone gives you a map of what they perceive the territory to be from their experience, it doesn't mean to say that's how you will view it. So, it's a bit like, when I started getting more into some of the psychological stuff around, all right, so if I look at a picture and two people look at a photograph, and one of them says, right, describe that photograph to somebody else, and you both describe it, and you both describe it differently, you're both describing exactly the same thing, but in different ways, because you have a different set of filters and points of view about, so my partner Bill will describe a picture in more, it's a summary picture, it's got warmth in it, it's da 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 da, so all of these kind of concepts where I was looking at it and go, well, it's about 1 foot wide by 1 foot long, and it's a picture of a house, it would be very specific, and we could almost be describing very different things.
Isn't it funny how so many people know that and yet they don't know it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, we don't. It's because we're taught not to question it. We're taught that the only things you can ever know are things that somebody tells you, are things that people impart to you, which is why you go to school as well, of course. You go to school to learn. You go to learn what the real world is about. Look, and that used to really piss me off. This is what the real world is. This is what the real world is. In the real world, rich people get richer, poor people get poorer. in the real world, men follow their dicks and women, just bitch about each other. And in the real world, it's like all of these really bizarre points of view that people have. And that was when I started doing, I know, it's like fucking, what is that about? And when I started doing Access, it really started hammering home to me that, interesting point of view, they have that point of view.
But why is it in the real world it all feels like doom and gloom and scarcity and kind of like fear and kind of like all about the worst? Why is it there's not so much joy and happiness and kind of like magic and stuff? It's like, where did we all conclude that? Absolutely.
Well, for me, a lot of that comes from you're not here to be happy. You're here to... Oh, I've lost my chat room. You're not here to be happy. You're here to serve God. You're here to serve God. So that was...
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because apparently I read this thing and it was talking about actually, and this is how kind of a reality, I guess, can begin to shift, and we don't even have an awareness of that, because it's like a lot of the time we're very much out of the effect of it. It's like before we begin to question, and it's like apparently there was a point where it's like the factory owners kind of like really wanted kind of like the workers to turn up every day, and they wouldn't. They'd turn up. It's like they'd work until they had enough money to have beer and food, and then they just wouldn't show up again. And so obviously in terms of like factory stuff, that didn't really work out so well. So what they started to do was they talked to the religious people of the time, and they got them to start kind of like making sermons about kind of like the importance of hard work. And what they noticed through history was that it's like, while it didn't work so well for like that particular kind of like generation, by the time it was about their children, it worked really, really well. And I just think, well, how mad is that? It's like it all became this reality for us about like working really hard and suffering and enduring and kind of like all of that stuff. And actually, it's like, it wasn't like that before it was like that, but we all call it real, and we still do that. And today, I mean, how many people today have that point of view?
Absolutely. For me, it's I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we find comfort in everyone believing the same thing. Maybe we find comfort in everyone buying into the same concepts, and so it comes back again to something else, the tall poppy syndrome, isn't it? If you have a different point of view or a different reality, we have this point of view, this reality that people will tear you down, because if you have a different reality to somebody else, it will make them question their own reality, which then makes that, if they buy into the concept, well, then everything I'm choosing is wrong, so I have to make you wrong, therefore I have to chop down the tall poppy. Am I making sense? So it's really bizarre how how
we try and nail it down. It's like we try and nail it down. It's like this is my partner for life. This is the house I'm going to live in. This is my job. This is like, and it's like, wow, it's just like how we cut off so many possibilities by not kind of like being prepared, I guess, to question, because we're so about trying to like drill down reality, because I guess it's quite uncomfortable when it feels like, or it can be uncomfortable when it feels like it's moving and shifting.
Yeah.
That it's like, for many of us, and I totally include myself in that, there's some areas I'll question more than others in my world.
Don't question me. Don't question me. Yeah, that's what I used to hear as a child. I don't know if you ever heard that.
Absolutely, and it's like, and so how we kind of like impart, it's like you're kind of like this reality of like, what we talk to small people, children about. It's like, don't fall over, be careful, hurt yourself, you'll hurt yourself, and it's like, like we don't say, hey, go and explore, be curious. It's like, be playful. We don't say any of that. In fact, it's like, it's just really curious.
And make the most of your playtime, because when you get older, you won't have any. It's like, and so at what age then did we decide that playtime was over and that we had to wake up and be responsible adults in the world? And so Eleanor in the chat room is saying working hard in this reality is a badge of honor. It totally fucking is. Unless you work hard for the reality for a lot of people is, unless you work hard or are seen to be working hard for what you receive, you don't deserve it, and therefore I will take it away from you. because you're making it easier than I've allowed it to be for me, and I can't let you show me. I cannot let you let you show me that actually something else could have been possible. I'm not willing to be that wrong. If you buy into the concept of right and wrong, therefore I have to chop you down.
Do you know, it's funny, I heard a really great thing last week. I was talking to a friend and they were talking about when they had been kind of like, responsible for some part of a business. And it's like, and they had their appraisal, and it's like an appraisal, the guy who was giving the appraisal was basically saying, well, you kind of come in at 9 to 5, you don't seem like you're that motivated anymore.
Yes.
And my friend was saying, so is there a problem with the results? And he was like, no. And he was like, and, do the staff seem kind of like motivated? And everybody getting the results? Are we doing well for the business? Yes. And it was almost just like the guy was saying to him, but it's not okay to be able to get that unless you're working like 16-hour days.
It's so funny because there are two things I want to kind of pick up on that. One of them is I used to work in banking and we used to do kind of FaceTime. I mean, I didn't because, I would leave when my work was done where possible, but I would get into work at 7 and I would work till about 7 at night. And I used to say to our boss, can I leave early tonight? And what we meant by that was, can I leave on time, 5 o'clock? And if you walked out the department at 5 o'clock, people would look at their watch and go, oh, early night, is it? Half day. I know, the culture was that you had to be at your desk all day. And it's funny because what you were saying about the productivity and working hours and stuff, we were with friends at the weekend, and there's a company in Brazil, and they've got this new, or they're using this way of working with people. It's like you know what is required of you. You know that this is what needs to be done. As long as you get that done, your working hours and how you work is kind of up to you.
Is that Is that the guy Ricardo Semler? It's his business.
I can't remember, but he brought his son in, and his son completely changed, and the productivity is up, and they just have this. It probably is, but they've just got this whole new way of looking at it, which is make sure that you follow the safety law, whatever it is that they're doing. Make sure you're not doing anything illegal, and you're not kind of taking the piss. But basically, at the end of the day, you are responsible for how you do it, and I want good results, and I don't want bullying, and I don't want any of that stuff. But it's like, and they're much happier.
And it's funny because I think they've got, because I think I've read some of his stuff, and it's funny because they have a thing where it's like you can go to the meeting, and once the meeting starts to bore you, you can leave.
Yeah.
How many meetings have we been part of the reality where you just have to suffer and endure?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, how many things do you have to sit through, as you say, to endure? I mean, even in Japan, they had that game called Endurance, which was how much nasty crap could you go through in order to win, and how much do we? So how much? I know, and how much do we do that in life? How much have we decided we need to endure before we win, before it becomes fun?
Because no pain, no gain.
Absolutely. And and Rod's just said in the chat room, what happens when everyone walks out? Well, things have to change. When everyone stands up and says, do you know what? No, something else has to be different. Like women's rights, and and the and kind of who was the
Emily Pankhurst?
Yeah, Emily Pankhurst and all of that kind of stuff. That's just one example of people just saying, do you know what? No, we've had enough of this. Something needs to change. And we need to choose. We need to create a different reality, not just dress it up as something different.
No, totally, and it's almost like that thing where, the courage to kind of thinking it would take a lot of courage for, someone to be walking out a meeting and going, hey, it's not working, and, like Rod was saying, well, what if everyone's not there? Yeah, it just totally said it, so what we're doing doesn't work, and we have to change that.
Yes, absolutely. So, should we play with that after the break a bit more, and about how we would go about choosing a different reality?
And I'm feeling like we can't really talk about questionable reality without bringing money into it.
I was wondering when we would get to that, because again, that's the other one. That's the two in my life.
Because it's real, right?
Yeah.
Tell me it's real. I've always thought it was real.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Solid and unchangeable. So let's play with money and reality after these adverts.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to Playground of Possibilities with myself, Wacko Allo, and I can't play Wacko Laura O. Well, that doesn't really work, does it? But anyway, I can. Wacko Laura, I can say what the fuck I like.
Yes, you can, and you just did.
It's bad reality. Bad Alun. That's my reality. Bad and wrong. That was, yeah. Anyway, whatever I do, I'm wrong. That's been my reality all my life, and it's just been so funny realizing that in the last 2 days. Yeah, everything I do is wrong. Everything. So it's like I'm dressing the dolly in different kind of clothes to try and make it not wrong, but the reality is that the dolly, this reality I've been choosing, the dolly is wrong. And there you go. The fact that I'm a man and I'm talking about dressing up dollies, that's so bad and wrong because it makes me into such a big puff. And do you know what? That's okay.
But I like that you're saying dollies and not dolls.
Well,
that's quite cute.
Hello, Dolly. Well, hello, Dolly. Sorry, not that I grew up with musicals or anything. But anyway, there you go.
You do like a good musical song.
Yeah, let's not go into Whip Cracker Way.
so tell me, we were talking about the questionable reality. We were talking before the break around kind of if people were, if everyone was to like walk out and it's like actually about what when the reality like doesn't work anymore. And actually, even as I'm saying that, there's like, there's been many realities that haven't worked anymore. It's just that I guess there's some who see it first. And they begin to change it, and it's like, it's like that whole kind of butterfly or the 100th monkey, like when they wash the potatoes, and then it becomes the way of being. But it's almost like, I guess it's like actually reality is never static; it's always dynamic. It's just that for most people, it's the same until it's not.
Yes, absolutely. And it's those people who are willing to question reality, who are willing to ask the questions that will stand up and say, as Rod says in the chat room, enough. Let's create something different. And for me, it's like let go of the judgments of what's right and wrong. It's not that everything has been right or wrong. It's just what would create more. So,
and what's that thing where it worked until it didn't?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, because everything evolves, and what if we could create a reality where judgment is so irrelevant that it's just so meaningless and nonsensical that nobody even pays any attention to it. What if we were having so much fun creating reality that we didn't even notice when people were judging us? It's like, because that's the thing. It's like, coming back to what you're saying about money. Money is, for many people. I remember when I used to be paid by check when I first started work, or actually it was cash. I was paid cash when I first started work, and for me it was solid, it was real. I knew how much money I had. Then my next job was I was paid by check each week, and then when we moved to monthly into bank accounts, that was really scary for a lot of people, and they really resisted it. And because it's not real, but I need to have the money, the pay packet in my hand for me to know I've received it. And how much do we still operate from that?
And how much do people just resist change because it's change?
Yeah. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? It's different. Because, again, it comes back to that thing around, if you change it, if we create a different reality, if we choose something different, then that means everything we've chosen before is wrong. And we're coming back to,
So what if it's not wrong, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. What if there's no such... Because that's a big lie, and you cannot change a lie. So it's like you're dressing your dolly up in a different dress and saying, right, well, today my dolly is going to be ill. But if you take the clothes off underneath that dolly, if it's a Tiny Tears, it certainly isn't a boy. And, I remember, putting nail varnish on my Action Man as a child to make him look more feminine, and having a real... I know! It was really funny. And, I really used to kind of muck about with it. And I know that, Mum said, what have you done that for? You've ruined it, you've broken it. I'm thinking, but actually I thought it was quite good. I used to make up all sorts of bizarre games with my makeup Action Man.
Well, apparently I just used to... I stopped getting those because I just used to systematically, take their clothes off, shave off, cut all the hair off, and then I no longer had the use for them. What was that?
I'm going to totally and utterly destroy this doll and not make it kind of... And what do we do? But we get told we're wrong for that play. And like I said, this Action Man was clearly still male because of the little plastic way they'd made, because that always used to make me laugh, the way they did genitals on a male Action Man. There was never anything there. It was just this kind of plastic line. Poor sod. I know. But anyway, so effectively it's like no matter how much I tried to dress him up as a woman, he was still, he was still that doll. And no matter how much we try to dress our money up as something different, if our reality with money is it's hard to come by, you have to work hard for it, whatever it is that your reality is with money, no matter how you try to dress that up and change it to something else, you have to create and choose a different reality with it. And the way to do that is to start asking questions. What actually is my reality with money?
Yeah, because lots of people sometimes, it's like, I remember when somebody was talking about affirmations one time, and it's like, and they were saying, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. And I'm like, yeah, you don't walk around, I am human, I'm a human, I'm human. You just know it.
Absolutely. Oops, sorry.
And I think sometimes it's like, in terms of, for me, knowing can be a slow-growing thing, and it can also be instantaneous. And it's almost just about just allowing it to be whatever it is in whatever area of your life, because it's like that thing where you get it when you get it.
Yeah. See, for me, the whole affirmations thing never really worked, because it was like, I am slim, I am slim, I am slim, and in my head I'm going, you're a fat bastard, you're a fat bastard. Or I am rich, I am rich, I am rich, and the other part going, but you've got no money and you're overdrawn. And so you can keep saying all that to yourself, because my reality was money is, my body is always going to be wrong. So even if I had been slim, I'd have been looking at going, yeah, but I'm not muscular enough. Because my reality was my body always needed improvement. We always need to improve it, and our finances and whatever it is, I am successful. What the hell is success? In this reality, success is being absolutely, willing to be utterly destroyed to show people that when you fall down, you can stand back up. That's success. Failure is sitting down on the ground and not getting up again. Well, what if I decided...
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But it's also fascinating when you're saying that, because it's like when there's so many kind of like people around us who are kind of like, although I don't know, I feel like there's a shift going on. It's like I think more people are starting to like question different things.
Yes.
And it's like, and there's definitely something around in terms of what's worked, isn't working so well
Yes.
for people, and so it's like people are kind of like maybe looking for like different things, and it's like, but again, from that coming from that space of judgment, I don't know about you, but it's like my questionable reality was just like, I just thought, if I could just get it right, it's like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Now
Yes.
that just makes me chuckle, because I'm just like, there was nothing wrong with me. I just had some really kind of like interesting points of view that I was kind of creating beautifully against myself, because there's almost like, it's like that thing around kind of like what is simple isn't necessarily easy always.
Absolutely. It's like and that's part of the thing around creating our realities. When we want to change things, we want to make it easier, and we don't want to make a different reality. What we actually want is to have it easier, choosing the same reality. So, right, I want it to be really easier living in poverty. I want it to be really easy for me to keep judging my body. I want it to be really easy for me to to have a failing business. Well, all of those are really easy.
But it's funny you say that, because there's something around it for me that once I begin to get the ease with what is, it actually kind of like stops it being as solid and kind of dense for me, because it can become just more malleable for me.
Yeah, and that's for me is the difference. Is like being in total allowance of what is, having total ease with what is, without judgment, without any judgment at all. You can then start looking at it and going, okay, so I have no judgment, I have no point of view about anything that is. Like, oh wow, okay, I've been choosing that, and what reality can I create and choose now that would be more fun for me, that would create more for the world, that would be just phenomenal. And let's get out of our heads. When you're questioning realities, get out of your head and go, what else is possible here? One of the Access tools, what else is possible? What else is possible here that I've never considered?
What's wonderful about that question is it melts your head, because your head's like, huh?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just me that's done this, but I've often asked myself that question and then got really mad, because I'm like, I don't know. When actually now I look at it and I think that's quite funny, because what it was showing me is, Laura, you're still in your head. Yeah.
And it's like, what would it take to get out of my head here? And that's where, that's absolutely, and that's where I use I do use the clearing statement from Access, and the interesting point of view, I have this point of view. So there's also something else that I'm using quite a lot at the moment in Access, something called autoresponders and crushed autoresponders. And if you can go to the exactly, so you can go to I will try and find a link for where Dane here, who's one of the co-founders of Access, is actually talking about it. He's done a YouTube video on it, but basically it's like where we automatically respond to things without even thinking about it. So when your phone rings, potentially you're automatically going to pick up the phone without even thinking about it. It's that kind of thing. When you go home to your parents, no matter how adult and grown up you feel when you're not away with your parents, potentially you go home and you automatically fall back into an old pattern of behaviour, because that's how you automatically respond to things. So for me, it's like, where am I automatically creating my reality?
And actually, and it's almost about not making ourselves wrong for that, because it's like, once we begin to get awareness of it and we begin to see what we're doing, then that's an invitation for us to be able to choose something else. Yeah. Or not.
Absolutely. And we can just keep choosing the same thing. So I reckon what we do is, if we go for the break now, and then when we come back from the break, we can just talk about different ways then of questioning where you're at and what you can create instead that is more fun, that it gives you more ease and more joy in life. How does that feel to you?
Cool. That sounds
awesome. Bree, push that one, baby, and we'll see you after these.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to Playground of Possibilities with... I want it to be really funny.
I always wondered
Laura Borland and my just co-host Alun Jones.
But it's funny because it's like the past couple of times I'm thinking, has he forgotten his name?
Who
Does
am
he
I?
know who he is?
Yes.
Are you? And who would you like to be today?
Absolutely. Where's my handbag? There it is. I don't, it's going to be my catchphrase, isn't it? Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah, it's going to be your catchphrase.
It is. Where's my handbag? There it is. So, yeah. So, questionable reality. What question can you ask that will create a different reality for you that is so much more fun for you? And what questions... Sorry, go.
No, on you go. On you go.
It's like, so what questions are you unwilling to ask because you've already decided what the answers will be?
Oh my God, yeah, because we don't do that, do we?
No. Yes. Yeah. So,
never.
I used to do that. What else is possible? And I know there's no question in that. That's just a frustrated fuck. It's not a question at all. It's like.
Do you know what, Bless? I remember saying to I remember doing a class in business last year and Simone, I know there's like infinite possibilities for like how money can show up. I did say this in all seriousness, but I'm only thinking of about 5. It's just like, and she looked at me and she was like, Laura, you don't have to worry about all the possibilities of the universe. That's the universe. You don't have to do the job of the universe. And it actually took me a wee while to get that because it's almost like if I couldn't see it, then I could see how it could be a possibility.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that we think we've got to have all the answers. We think our job is to have all the answers. And if you don't have all the answers, you haven't learnt enough, you're not wise enough, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we go around this Mobius strip of asking questions. And, sorry, there's people are asking me to repeat one of the questions, and I can't even remember what the question was. So, yeah, anyway.
It's just like, what if it's okay to not know?
Yeah.
But what if it's, because it's like that thing where it's like, where we feel like we need the clarity and the certainty. And it's like, something that I ask when I find myself getting really kind of like stuck in any particular reality, because it happens even in like situations and with people and at work, and it's just like, I'm like, am I willing to consider another possibility? And sometimes just even asking that for me Is it enough
Yeah.
to just kind of like, then something will just fall into my awareness? But it's almost about just, for me, acknowledging, I'm like, oh wow, I'm making this solid, and then being able to like then be curious and just wonder, hey, I wonder what else is possible here, but without that kind of like that desperate energy that I've certainly used past, where why is it not changed yet?
Yes, because that's the thing. Is that we may ask a whole load of questions, but what's the energy behind it? You know, so which is why I really like I like adding that bit to the end of the what else is possible here. Is what else is possible that I haven't considered?
Yeah.
What else is possible here that I could never imagine? Because it completely takes you out of your head. And I find if I'm trying to look for answers, I'll do the crazy phrase. You know, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, because it just shuts my mind up.
Totally, and there's almost that thing around just like, for me, even just acknowledging, I'm like, wow, I'm really in my head. I've got a lot of thinking going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just almost like allowing, just even like, I don't know about you, but it's like that thing where I'd be like, well, I need to change this.
Yeah.
But actually, it's like sometimes it would just change, and then I would be like, oh wow, I forgot I was like stressing out about that or whatever it was. And whereas for me, there's something when it's like that laser beam focus, it's like it's too intense for me, and actually the focus just keeps giving more of what I don't want.
Yeah, because we
and
do.
exactly
The more we look at something, the more we give attention to it, the more we create what is. Well, I'm going, okay, what would it take for me to have more ease with what is? And, you know, what else is possible here that I haven't considered? And what else can I choose here that would be more fun for me? And so, and using the tools, using the questions all the time without making it meaningful and significant about what the answers are.
And just as you're saying that, something's just popped into my head, which goes along the lines of, so in any area, it's like, so what if what I think is real is not real? What space could that create? What else would be possible? And if this wasn't true, and if this was kind of like malleable,
what could I choose?
What could I create? What could I play with? Like plasticine.
Yeah. How curious am I willing to be? How curious can I read? Am I really willing to get? How much fun am I willing to have? Am I willing to really let go of solidity? And whose reality am I being into as my own anyway? And then give it all back with consciousness attached. So, you know, these are some of the things that kind of we're playing with. So please listen to the replays of this and you know, write the questions down if that works for you. But you know, what else? How much fun can you have playing with these questions the way Laura and I do all day, every day? Because it does create so much difference in our lives when we do it. And what a contribution! Sorry, go on.
I don't know about you, but I do it when I remember. It's like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm like, you know, I'll get in a funk and I'll be like, oh yeah, that was no questions, Laura. And again, even not making myself wrong for that, but just being like, oh, that was curious. Okay, well, what else?
Yeah, absolutely. It for me, it's that funny thing. It's right, I've been choosing that, and I will get there eventually. And oh right, that wasn't mine in the first place. So those are the two things, the biggest things for me. So yeah, play with the tools, and if you want to play some more, we're coming back next week with the gorgeous Fiona Cutts is going to be with us next week to do Are You Visible, Seen and Heard in the World? So yeah, would you like to be more visible, seen and heard in the world? If you would, come and play with myself and my gorgeous co-host Laura and the wonderful and amazing Fiona Cutts next week. And in the meantime, keep asking questions, keep questioning your reality, and yeah, have fun with life. Laura.
Have a great week, guys.
Yeah, see you all next week then. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for choosing to listen to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alan Jones. We hope you enjoyed playing with us today and that you'll come play with us next Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm. Until then, what would it take for you to enjoy playing with choices and possibilities to create more fun, more magic, and more of everything you desire? What will you choose today? Thank you for choosing to listen to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alan Jones. We hope you enjoyed playing with us today and that you'll come play with us next Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific.